Hey guys, it's Whitney from the Holiday Homestead. I wanted to give you this would be number 3 in the How to Feed Your Chickens for Less series, the top 10 ways to do this. And the next way that we are feeding our chickens, hopefully for less, is to incorporate amaranth into their feed. Now, amaranth is a grain that's eaten in a lot of different countries, actually. A lot of South American countries. It is really hardy. Um, Most varieties are drought tolerant, and it grows really well, and it produces a lot of grain. And the best part is the grain is easy to access, unlike things like oats or wheat. It doesn't have a thick hull on it that's super hard to get off. Wheat, oats, some types of barley, buckwheat, they all have a hull on them that is easy to get off if you have a commercial huller, which I don't. So when we're looking for grains to incorporate into our chicken feed to help out, to kind of supplement the store-bought feed, we're looking for something that is easy to process so that we can get it into the chicken's feed without having to have an extra step. So let me show you what I mean. So this behind me here is amaranth, and let's go have a look at it. So this is the plant. This one is actually kind of shorter. It's about 6 feet tall. A lot of my amaranth that I'm growing right now gets up to about 7 or 8 feet tall. But either way, it always has the same basic form. These heads here that form kind of dotted around the plant with the main head up top. And if you look closely, these little bunches have flowers on them. And you can see some of the little petals coming off in my hand there. So those flowers, once they get pollinated and all that, become the seeds, the kind of cup that holds the seed. And so when we go to harvest this, we're going to cut it off right about here somewhere. Give us a little bit of a handle and hang it, like bunch it all together and then hang it up and let it dry. Or you can just cut the entire stalk, just the whole thing down. And if you have a tall enough space, you can just kind of hang it upside down and, put it up on a nail or something in your barn and hang it up. And then when it dries, you take the branches off. At that point, you would have to cut these pieces off because then you're going to take them. And what I do is I get a large kiddie pool, like not large, I guess, like medium-sized kiddie pool, and I set it on my lap, kind of standing with the one end of it sitting on the ground and kind of laying against the bottom of it, laying against my lap. And I take these stalks with the dried amaranth on it, and you just beat it against the bottom of the pool, and all the grain just falls right down. And it works really well, surprisingly. And the grain is pretty easy to process because once it all falls out, usually it's outside of the hull at that point. But even if the flower head came off with it, you just take the grain and you just rub it in your hands, or you like palm roll it and with 2 hands, and the grain just falls right out. And you can just kind of, blow the chaff off of it. So anyway, they're really easy, and amaranth itself is a very just wonderful plant. Like I said, they grow really easily. They're fairly drought tolerant for most varieties, and they are very high in protein. Protein is one of the hardest things to, supplement or replicate in chicken feed, especially if you have grow outs. They need a 20-25%, somewhere in there, percent protein to make sure they're getting enough to grow out that quickly. And even if you just have layers, they still need about 18%, which you're not going to get from corn, oats, wheat. You need a protein source. And most feeds use soy protein, ground soybeans, and that's fine. But again, it's hard to replicate because if you're going to take like soybeans or something like that, you have to dry them or roast them, and then you have to grind them into a size that's small enough for your chickens to get a hold of. This, on the other hand, comes already in the right size. And that is perfect. The little grains are, I would say, slightly bigger than like a grain of cream of wheat or like grits, kind of about the size of a grit, a single grit, a grain of grits. So anyway, so they're just ready to go and also easy to store because if you decided that you didn't want to winnow it right away, you can just cut off these heads and just throw them in a feed bag and leave them and get to them when you need to. And then, yeah, you'll still have to winnow it when you need to process it to feed the animals. But you can easily just kind of shove it in a bag, throw it in your feed room, and leave it there until you're ready to use it. So great stuff. Let's see what else. Amaranth also has like anti-inflammatory properties. So it helps with bones, with joints, with tendons. The way I look at it is you never want inflammation in any body, whether it's a human body or a chicken body. And it's always good to have a good source of antioxidants. So the just the grain itself is kind of, I think, considered a superfood in some ways. Also, it's very high in calcium too, which is nice. So that helps with shell strength when you're talking about your layers. So there's just a lot of good benefits to amaranth. It's a wonderful grain, and we've been growing it for though this will be our second year growing it. The very first year, we were just growing to see if it wanted to grow here and if it was easy to cultivate and if it was easy to winnow, just kind of a trial run, you know. And it worked, and it was so easy. And it was, I think, probably my easiest grain out of the other stuff that we grow here. This is my easiest grain to harvest. Now, also, in addition to the grains themselves, the leaves are also very beneficial. I feed these to my goats and my sheep. I have eaten them when they're a lot smaller, like more like this size. You can eat them, you just cook them like spinach basically, or like kale, I guess. They didn't really have a particular flavor, I will say. It was more just a texture of spinach. Maybe a tiny bit bitter, but let's see. The first time I cooked them, I think I just cooked them like spinach, and they tasted a little bit salty, but I think that's because of what I was using to cook with. But the second time I cooked them, I actually did soak them in a little bit of salted water and just swished them around and then rinsed them and then cooked them. And there was no bitterness, and I used something else to cook it, so it was not really salty. So anyway, so yes, an all-around amazing plant. This is the wonderful amaranth. And we grow, well, right now we're growing three different kinds. So this is Golden Amaranth. And this is actually a volunteer that popped up in the middle of my volunteer compost row. Just about everything is volunteer in that spot. But this here is the intentional row. This is all amaranth down here. Golden amaranth. Let's see. So this one is the previous year's seed, this row here. And then, gosh, I'm going to get lost in the bushes here. And then basically, the really tall stuff over there is last year, or the year before seed, straight from Baker Creek. So I tried two different ways to do it. And like I said, it grows really, really tall if it has enough space and enough nutrients. And this is a 35 foot, no, maybe 40-foot bed that we have decided to grow it in. And it takes up every inch all the way down. It definitely likes growing here for sure. So that's the Golden Amaranth from Baker Creek Heirloom Seed Company. And then over here, let's see, this is, let's see, it's a different type. It looks about the same though. I'm wondering if I got some seeds kind of mixed in because this looks about the same as the other one. But this is supposed to be, I think the name was Aurelia's or Aurella's or something, red amaranth. And so far it's looking just like my golden amaranth. A slightly different form. along the stalk, not quite as bushy along the stalk, but still with that kind of golden head. I guess that could be kind of considered red, maybe like a pinkish red. Anyway, but it did not germinate as well as my golden amaranth on the other side. So I don't know if I'm going to be using this variety again. I also really like how my other golden amaranth was producing lots and lots and lots of leaves. And this doesn't produce as many. It produces a very big stalk though. Maybe I'll be able to use that for something. And then this is a decorative amaranth that a friend brought over to me, which is very nice. She brought over some lovely amaranth, and it's grown quite a bit. It's a nice little bush, and I just planted it because there was nothing coming up in that spot, so it's nice. And then this one is green amaranth. So vastly different color. It's much brighter, yellow-green, and but the same idea. Oh, there's some more flower pollen right there. But the same idea, you know, nice, good stalk, lots of leaves, and yeah, it's not nearly as tall. I mean, it's about, you know, here on me, which is fine. It makes it easy. I'm not too concerned about it being a little bit shorter. A few of them got kind of tall, but not many. And this variety did come up pretty well. It was kind of a late starter, but once it got going, it's definitely pulled up its end of the growing requirement. So yeah, and there's this one, which I'm not really sure what this one's doing. It's kind of a crazy cousin. Anyway, but yeah, so these types are kind of on trial. We'll see how this green variety grows. And as I said, I'm not all that impressed with the with this variety, just because of, oh, there's a double leaf. That's cool. Just because of the way it had a really hard time germinating. I only got, I think, 8 plants to germinate out of, I don't know, half the pack of seeds being sown in this spot. So anyway, that's kind of cool. So yeah, so that is what we are growing as far as amaranth goes. There's other stuff, and I will make other videos about those other things that we're working on. But the amaranth definitely is a winner for us. And if nothing else, the best part is we can eat it. And so it's a good supplement for chickens, for the protein, for the calcium, for the potassium, vitamin K. There's peptides, anti-inflammatory. There's tons of good stuff. But you know, if the chickens don't like it, we'll just eat it. So either way, it's a good thing. And then also, like I said, the foliage is also edible. So that's really helpful because everything has to be multi-purpose on a homestead. Because I don't want to just make piles of wonderful, beautiful compost. I'd rather put it into animals or something else. So anyway, so yeah, hope that helps you guys lower your chicken feed costs. I'll be making another video about the other grains that we're adding to our chicken feed to feed our chickens for less. Thanks so much, guys, and happy chickening.